Hello everyone, welcome to the new video of the Opening Disasters series. And in this video we will be looking at the game between Gibault and Lazare, played in Paris in 1924. By the way, as far as I know, Lazare was a problemist as well, so maybe that had something to do with his creative play in this game, although I think more of a factor was the play of his opponent. Nevertheless, let's go straight to the moves. Gibault opened with d4 and Lazare replied knight f6. All pretty standard, but now the rare move, knight to d2. Well, you can play. Although obviously better moves are pawn to c4, pawn to c4 or knight to f3. They are kind of more logical moves. Although even with the knight d2 you can play, you are blocking this bishop and you are not controlling the d5 square that much, but that might not even matter in the future. Maybe you can fianchetto this bishop here or something else. It's not that this move is the reason for the ending result. But anyway, it's not the most optimal move, probably. And now black went e5. Well, it's a very creative move in reply to white's pseudo-creativeness with knight d2. And what is the idea? Well, black wants to sacrifice a pawn to generate some active play, similar to Budapest gambit, only in this variation maybe it's not that great, but it can be played, definitely. But now the normal move would be to develop the other knight, protect this e5 pawn, and let's say black goes bishop c5, putting some pressure on the f2 spot. White would have to protect it, and let's say black goes knight c6, attacking the e5 pawn twice. Well, white could defend that as well, although he could be kicked maybe like this, but let's say he goes back. Now this one is hanging, so black would, let's say, protect it, and let's say you put more pressure, and if black takes, you can actually secure this one. I mean, it doesn't need to go this way, but it looks like knight f3 would be a logical way to continue. It just makes sense. Similar way of playing against, like how we would play against Budapest or Albin counter gambit, only here you will have few more options, actually, thanks to this knight being on d2. Anyway, what white did was totally unnecessary. He played h3. Well, first of all, this knight was anyway planning to go on e5 and capture this pawn. So it really doesn't make sense to waste a move like this just for forcing black to do what he actually wanted to do. And secondly, when you push this pawn here from h2 to h3, you will notice when this pawn was here, he was protecting this g3 square. But now it's only the f pawn that protects this square. And in the beginning of the game, this diagonal from e1 to h4 is actually, it is important not to weaken it. If black has a chance to give you a check along that diagonal and this diagonal is weak, you can actually suffer fatal consequences. which is what happened here. Black surprised white by playing knight e3. So he didn't go for the obvious knight e5, which will probably be good also, but he went for a devastating knight e3. And now, because this knight is here instead of here, or even at the beginning spot, the queen doesn't have any squares left. So the queen is trapped. And the only way to prevent losing a queen is to capture the knight. What then happens is you removed your f pawn from f2 to e3, and as I said earlier, this h pawn was also moved. Now this diagonal is very weak, and black is going to punish that very brutally with the mate into. You can only block, but after queen takes g3, it's all over. So, where was white's mistake? Well, knight d2 is not a great move, but it's not a move that is going to get him into a bad spot. Actually, here black played a little bit extravagant, but okay. So definitely h3 is a big mistake, because now you just get slaughtered with this smattering move. The queen is smattered, and in order to save the queen, you have to take on e3, and then comes the execution. That was the second opening disaster in our series. I hope you have enjoyed it, and goodbye.